everyone, this is Eugene Roddenberry.
Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Adam Nimoy, Leonard Nimoy's son.
This is Leonard Crowfoot.
This is Dr. Aaron McDonald, Star Trek Science Advisor and Lieutenant Commander McDonald on Star Trek Prodigy.
And you're listening to
Humanist Trek.
Humanist Trek.
You're listening to Humanist Trek.
the Humanist Trek podcast.
And you're listening to Humanist Trek, a fabulous, fabulous show.
Enjoy.
And don't worry, you can do your Temporal Mechanics 101 homework later.
Yeah, so this guy, this Armus creature tells us up front that he has no regard for life. He disagrees with this Starfleet humanist philosophy. And Riker's like, ugh, fucking Republicans.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Welcome aboard.
Jean-Luc Picard to the Starship Enterprise.
You want to review your rapid progress?
That nonsense is centuries behind us. To the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, yeah?
That is enough, damn it!
Tempo, mon capitan.
To the Starship Enterprise.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
Of the planet Earth.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Joe Lontrue, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And the world is going to shit right now. I mean, I have my own personal stuff, as you can see. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, it's gone. Behind Sarah is her curio case. It only has the little dust imprints of where her stuff was.
Yeah, the dust is bad.
But I have it too. But I guess you're clearing things out.
Yeah. Yep. So we've got to move. We've decided we're at that point. So we're starting to pack shit up, and that's depressing.
Yeah.
We don't really watch a lot of news or politics at all. I get up first from NPR, gives me like the 3 things I need to know today, and that is depressing enough.
Agreed. I don't watch the news. However, sometimes I get caught up in the doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Like this weekend as I was watching this episode and just happened to look at my phone, and there's some cruel shit going on. Specifically, people getting really brave, people that are like MAGA right wing are really getting brave and approaching people just out in the street, out in the world when everybody's going about their business and minding their own business. They did this before with the administration when he who shall not be named was president before, and they were getting brave and accosting people on the street or whatever. And there's a few pages and a few, I guess, literally internet warriors that are dedicated to finding out who these people are and outing them to their jobs. And I follow this one guy, and I just started looking through his page, and he's very thorough, and he exposes these people. You're driving down the street, or you're trying to park, or you're trying to charge your car, and there's just story after story of people being called the N-word, LGBTQ homophobic slurs, oh, you're an illegal immigrant, those types of people just out of the blue being accosted and saying Trump's your daddy, and and that kind of thing. And then of course the only defense they have is to take out their phone and record it. So then they do, and then they submit it, and let the internet do what it does and find these people. And it's satisfying to hear, oh, this person lost their job, or this person had to take their website down, and this, I love it when they're exposed, but it's just so cruel.
Yeah. And as we've talked, the cruelty is the point.
The cruelty is the point. It scares me because we sit here in a liberal state, and, it still could happen to us, but there's less likely of it happening as if you were somewhere else. And I'm just thinking I have to travel here soon, go to another state. And I am I'm terrified, like, of someone saying something to me just because they're feeling particularly brave in this very moment. And yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to sit there and record it
Yeah.
and hope
And send it to
and
this
hope
guy.
send it to every outlet I can, and I don't want to live like that. And
No.
yeah, the cruelty is the point.
Yep. And, as we've said before, like the people who are now saying, oh, well, this isn't what I wanted. Well, they told you this is what they were going to do.
Yeah.
They have been very clear from the beginning. This was the plan. And you don't get to say, I have buyer's remorse now.
Yeah. And this is what you wanted. When
Yeah.
you voted for this shit, you just thought it wasn't going to affect you. You
Mhm.
thought it was going to be us against them.
Yep.
You thought it was only going to be the black and brown and female and LGBTQ people that were going to get the shaft. No, bitch, it's everyone.
Mm-hmm. And even the minorities who voted for this administration that are like, oh, shit, they're coming after me now. I didn't want them to come. Like, we live in a place with a lot of Mexican immigrants.
Yeah.
And they were, there's a lot of them that voted for Trump that are like, well, now they're coming after me. I didn't want them to come after me. I wanted them to come after the bad Mexicans. Like, what?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
These people don't care that if there's a good or a bad, whatever. You look like the enemy to them. And,
Yeah.
and we are, you, me, all of these immigrants, like, we are the enemy. It doesn't matter whether you're law abiding, whether you're MAGA, none of that matters to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the cruelty is the point, and they're just being evil.
Absolutely.
And you voted for evil, and now we're getting evil.
Yeah, you got what you asked for.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what happens when you put all the evil together into one
big black ball.
Yep. Everybody report to the transporter room. It's Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 23, Skin of Evil.
Commander, you'll soon be getting an intruder alert.
What? I've got something, sir.
Intruder alert, sir.
It's an old-style starship, sir. Constellation class, heading this way under impulse com.
Number one, kindly take charge of our guests until we have time to decide what we're going to do with them. Sir, number one, keep them out of my way.
The Enterprise is undergoing some routine preventative maintenance and engineering, so they're traveling at impulse on their way to meet up with Counselor Troy, who's coming back from a conference. And if we know anything about Star Trek, it's that traveling in a shuttle to a conference is the setup for disaster.
Bad idea. This is always a bad idea.
But on the bridge, Tasha and Worf are chatting about this upcoming martial arts competition. She's asking for his help on a particular move, and he's like, nah, girl, you got this. We all got money on you. You're a sure bet. And she's like, wait, you bet on me?
The sheer look on her face, the sheer pleasure of, you bet on me? I can't believe it. She's just, and that broke my heart because I know what's coming.
Right. Well, this also, on paper, this reads like a little confidence boost for Tasha, but they put in this music here, and the way Tasha and Worf look at each other, there's attraction.
It was weird.
They were trying to make this be a thing, and I didn't remember that at all.
I don't know. Maybe it's just your dirty mind.
No, it was like romantic, the string music swells moment, as they kind of look at each other lovingly. I don't know.
Yeah. But then he kind of gets embarrassed and walks away.
Yes. See, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to make fetch a thing. Fetch is not a thing.
That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Fetch?
It's Mean Girls. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Oh, I don't know what fetch is. I don't think I watched Mean Girls.
Oh, my God. We got to watch Mean Girls.
No. I don't think so.
Suddenly, there's an emergency call from Troy's shuttle, and they've only got audio, but we hear Lieutenant Prieto reporting multiple onboard systems failures. Troy's okay, but a little shaken, and now they're losing control of the shuttle.
He doesn't even know where he is. So Geordi reads his coordinates, but Prieto can't confirm where he is, and his instruments are going nuts.
Picard calls up main engineering, hoping to jump to warp to go save them. But Lieutenant Commander Lynch is still in the middle of the dilithium crystal realignment, which will take 20 minutes or more. And Picard's like, we don't have 20 minutes. So
he's like, fine, I'll do it by hand then. I'll align it by hand.
Ben Prieto is played by Raymond Forchon, who started in theater at 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
He's been on Miami Vice, The Golden Girls, Will and Grace, Grey's Anatomy, Numbers, a whole bunch of stuff.
We don't get to see his face a lot. We hear his voice, but we don't really get to see his face.
Lieutenant Commander Leland T. Lynch is played by Walker Boone, who did a lot of things, but for my childhood, he took over the voice of Mario from Captain Lou Albano. Do you remember this?
No.
Captain Lou voiced Mario in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I know I've sent you like the intro to this before.
You probably have, but it's like I didn't watch it. Like,
yeah.
You were younger. You were still watching cartoons.
Yeah,
I was not.
Anyway, so then after that, Walker Boone took over the voice for the animated series, The Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World.
Oh, cool.
But neither of the, I think I might have watched The Adventures of Super Mario 3, but not Super Mario World. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I definitely didn't watch any sort of Super Mario cartoons.
Also, why does this guy always say his full name? He calls up the bridge and he's, Leland T. Lynch here, Captain.
Leland T. Lynch here, Captain.
Like, bruh, this is the space military. Cut it short.
And how many Lynches in engineering are there? We know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the shuttle is now out of control and heading toward a planet, Viagra 2.
We're calling it Viagra.
Yep.
Yes.
And Lynch's 3-minute fix won't be fast enough because they're caught in the planet's gravity and they're going down.
You are favored in the ship's pool.
You bet on me?
A sure thing.
We've lost contact with the shuttle, assuming it crash landed on Viagra 3, and in engineering, Lynch is taking every shortcut trying to get warp drive back online.
He takes this big piece of Himalayan salt crystal and he puts it into, it's basically the dilithium crystal that he inserts into the warp drive.
Now, I may be wrong, Allie, but Lynch gives a command for the computer to prime the matter-antimatter injectors, set ratio to 25-1. And I seem to recall from the episode where Wesley takes the Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge that the only ratio for matter to antimatter is 1-1, or the ship goes.
Ooh, man, that's a great find.
Mm-hmm. So this should have blown up the ship. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a good catch. You should write a letter to someone.
Oh, right. Anyway, procedure complete, no explosion. And Leland gives the bridge minimal warp drive, but Picard tells Geordi to set it to warp 8 and punch it.
They're gonna blow up the ship. So they approach Viagra 2. They're not getting an emergency signal, but Picard asked Data to do a Google search to find out, what do we know about this planet? And other than it exists, not much. There's no signs of life, no vegetation, and then they have minimal atmosphere so that they can actually breathe. Worf locates the shuttle, and he's getting really, really faint life signs.
But he's got clutter on the scanner, Allie.
I knew that this would come up.
Of course.
No, Sarah, it's noise. He's got noise.
But because those life signs are buried in the clutter, there's no way to tell how many or beam them out. So Riker is taking Data, Tasha, and Crusher down to the planet. And this is another classic TOS, paint the soundstage walls planet. We get pinkish skies, very rocky, lots of foam rocks. And this was fun, though. I liked this. We see the shuttle kind of like half buried in the rocks and sand.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, in a couple of pieces. They get there and they see this like oil slick in the sand in front of them. And Riker's like, what is this? Tasha's like, I don't know. Fuck it. We're going to go around it. But the weird thing is, it moves in front of them every time they try to go around it.
Riker reports this to Picard, and they keep the channel open. Data's like, I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you what it is not. There's no evidence of neural or circulatory systems, no internal organs, cellular structure unknown, no proteins known to us, no skeletal framework or musculature, yet somehow it's able to move around and block their path. And no signs of intelligence or a brain. And Picard's like, is it a life form, Data? Does it eat and breathe and grow? Because that's how you know it's alive.
You breathe and eat and grow. And that is how you know you're alive.
But Data says, still, that's insufficient information, sir, is Data's version of, I don't know. But then Picard asks him to theorize, and he says, well, I guess it's possible. And just then, something starts happening in the black oil slick, and it starts to speak, and it calls him Tin Man.
Mm-hmm.
It calls Data Tin Man.
It starts bubbling, and kind of this body-shaped thing rises up out of the goo.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
As Picard asks, what are you seeing? And Riker answers, trouble.
Is there a song with trouble? Trouble. No, we don't want to do a country song.
No, I was thinking, we've got trouble right here in River City with a capital T that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
What's that one?
You don't know that?
No.
Oh.
Is that a musical? It's
yes.
A musical.
Yes, it's a musical.
Is it a life form, Data?
It is possible.
Very good, Tin Man.
Picard puts forth the hypothesis very early here that the shuttle crash and its proximity to this creature isn't a coincidence. On the planet, we meet Armus, who has now taken a kind of humanoid shape, and the body of Armus was played by Mart McChesney, who we'll see again in TNG, but not really, because his other role, he also is covered with ham and effects makeup.
This time he's covered in black ham.
Yeah. And the voice of Armus was voiceover giant Ron Gans, who was he was a movie trailer voiceover guy. In a world.
Not him.
No,
not that guy, though.
Not exactly that guy, but he did a lot of movie theater trailers.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was also drag strip in the Transformers.
Barely remember.
Nikolai Volkov in Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. That was a cartoon I also watched when I was a kid.
Oh my God, Sarah.
And he did a couple voices in The Real Ghostbusters, another cartoon I watched religiously. But my favorite is that he voiced Eeyore in the Disney Channel series Welcome to Pooh Corner. And this was this weird live action, like combination costume puppet thing. And I only ever saw it on, because, you know, cable, those were used to be premium channels, right? And so cable would do these like preview weeks and give you the Disney Channel free for a week and try to entice you to purchase the subscription. And we couldn't afford that shit. So that's the only time I ever got to see it, was during those weeks. But yeah, man, Eeyore on Pooh Corner. Holy shit.
No, yeah, I guess you guys had like lots of cartoons when
we did
when you were little.
Yeah. Anyway, Armus is like, oh bother, why are you here? it's Eeyore. Oh my God, we've had Piglet and Eeyore on Star Trek.
You're right. The redheaded guy from Piglet. Yeah.
Riker's like, we come in peace or whatever. We have injured crewmen in that crashed shuttle. May we go help them, please? And Armus is like, no, you haven't given me a good enough reason.
So Riker's like, oh yeah, you know, preserving life and all, and blah, blah, blah.
I mean, this is kind of an introduction to humanism conversation.
Yeah.
In a way, like Riker's explaining that all life is important to us and everything in the universe has the right to exist. And Armus is like, oh, that's interesting, but I don't agree.
And you can leave now.
Yeah, goodbye. You are the weakest link.
Of course, Tasha, that sets her off. She's like, we are not going anywhere without our shuttle crew.
Yeah, so this guy, this Armus creature tells us up front that he has no regard for life. He disagrees with this Starfleet humanist philosophy. And Riker's like, ugh, fucking Republicans.
Yeah. But Tasha, again, usual ready to fight Tasha. She's like, we've had enough. We've got people that need attention. We've got to help them.
Tasha's like, move, bitch!
Get out the way!
Get out the way, bitch!
Get out the way! Oh, nice. She starts forward and he lets out a flash of energy and she fucking flies through the air. And then Riker and Data start firing, but their phasers have absolutely no effect on Armus.
So they all run over to Tasha, who's knocked out, and Crusher reports she's dead.
And Armus sinks back into his little puddle.
Picard orders them all beamed up immediately, and he heads to sickbay where they've got Tasha on a biobed with the fakest looking blood splotch on her cheek. This looked like somebody took a marker and just drew some shit on her cheek.
And colored it in.
Yeah.
It was the perfect edges of a splotch, a cartoon splotch. I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah. Well, maybe Westmore spent the whole budget this week on slime.
Oh, come on.
She's basically on life support, and we get this classic hospital scene where we grab the paddles and clear. Shock her back to life. And it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work. And so they're like jacking up the power each time.
Yeah.
Crusher's desperate to save her friend, her colleague. But it's too late. She's gone.
Oh my God, they've killed
Lieutenant Natasha Yar.
I don't believe this.
you bastards!
There was too much brain damage, I guess. And Crusher says that thing must have just sucked the life out of her. There was nothing that she could do.
Meanwhile, on the planet, Armus moves toward the busted shuttle, essentially like covering it, which seems to block Troy's communicator somehow too. And Armus and Troy have a conversation here where he tells her he killed one of her friends and the others aren't going to come back to save you. And he also tells her that this killing was intentionally meaningless. He did it because why not? He says, I did it because it amused me. Same reason that he sent that innocent man to an El Salvadorian prison.
Yeah, because he wanted her to suffer. And Troy is sensing all of this emotions rolling off of him. And she's like, yeah, you've got a great need. And she's having a therapy session with him right now.
Yes.
Involuntarily.
Yep.
She's like, you've got a great need. And he just, of course, as all new patients do, they're in denial. All new patients in therapy, they're in denial. He says, I don't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just, again, begging for him to let her go. She tells him, I know what you want. You want to break their spirit. And he's like, if breaking their spirit is what amuses me, because this is all for his amusement. And then that's what he's going to have. And she's like, no, never.
In the conference room, there's a lot of crosstalk as everyone is clearly upset about Tasha's death. Picard taps the desk to quiet everyone.
Order in the court.
And explains that our feelings are going to have to wait until Troy and what's-his-name have been recovered. Worf is very unceremoniously promoted to acting chief of security.
Yeah.
I feel
Congratulations, Worf.
Yeah. Like that was just abrupt and no pomp and circumstance at all. Because we've got people to save.
But they get a state of the condition of the shuttle crew. They're still receiving life signs, but the readings are fluctuating. And Data just says that, Armus is able to block these. He's putting up a force field of some kind to block the signal. He's causing clutter.
Riker suggests that this is all intentional. Killing Tasha, but leaving Troy, what's-his-name, and the rest of the away team alive.
Mm-hmm.
It knows we're not leaving without our people. But the only way to know for sure is to go back down. And Geordi offers to go this time to provide his unique visual ability. So Riker, Data, Geordi, and Crusher all get up to leave. But Worf stays seated with Picard, and Riker's like, Worf, you coming or what? And Worf says, no, my place now is here on the ship at the tactical station. We're not trying to go down there to pick a fight. We're just trying to get our crew back. So the best place for me is here.
Yeah, and you know how Tasha and Worf, if things kick off, it's usually because one of them has lost their temper. So
I thought this was a very wise decision. I mean, this is nothing like early season 1 Worf jumping over the horseshoe with a heater in his hand to shoot at anything.
Yeah, him and Tasha, they kick off. They have like these, as the water boy says, they have small medulla oblongatas. So they get angry really quickly.
Again. She's gone.
Gone.
On the surface, this time we've got Riker, Crusher, Geordi, and Data. And they see that the oil slick is covering the shuttlecraft. But then inside the shuttlecraft, Armus is sort of like goading Troy. He's like, I lied to you. They came back. But he won't let Troy talk to them. And he's like, oh, they care for you. So you must be really special. And she tries to explain human relationships. We're members of a community and we all care for each other. And he's like, equally. And she senses that he's even surprised that they came back. And then she's like, oh, because someone left you. So she's getting all of this. She's giving him another therapy session. And she's like, some others did not come back for you. And he's like, wait, how do you know that? He can't hide the emptiness from her. The people that hurt him, they left him alone and rejected, and they make him really, really angry.
He's like, what do you know about the others? And Troy says, only what you tell me. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. She's talking about reading his mind.
Yes, she is. Good for you, Troy.
Right?
I was like, yes. Brain fuck that asshole.
And she's like, girl, I'm a therapist. You have no chance against me. Armus moves from the shuttle toward the away team, and up on the bridge, Picard, Worf, and Wesley are at an aft station watching the sensors, and they noticed that the energy field over the shuttle decreased slightly when the creature was on top of it. Not enough to beam them out, but maybe there's something to all of that. So we're going to keep researching. And on the planet, Armus takes humanoid form again and has a conversation with Riker. And Riker's really trying to be the diplomat here. Like, I'm going to negotiate for these hostages, but Armus keeps being cagey.
And meanwhile, Geordi's crouched down while Riker's doing all this diplomacy shit, and he's trying to see what he can see.
It looked like Geordi was about to take it at one point because of the way he like moves over in front of Data. Yeah.
Right.
Finally, Crusher is like, I'm a doctor. I need to treat our injured friends. And Armus makes her say, please. And then he's like, okay, you said the magic word. You can go. Just kidding, sucker.
This is some MAGA shit.
Yeah.
This is like, they want to dance, bitch.
Yeah.
I want to see you dance and like shooting at your feet. And this is like so cruel.
And the cruelty is the point.
Yeah.
But somehow Armus unblocks the communicators so Crusher and Troy can talk to each other. So she's at least able to like check in.
They kind of just confirm, yeah, we're having trouble. And Troy's like, yeah, I know. That's it.
This doesn't get us very far, though, this phone call. Armus calls them all ungrateful. And we have another is it alive conversation here. Data says, it does not register on the tricorder. And Armus is like, it? Does that mean I'm not alive? Also, didn't you have an issue with your brother being called it just a few episodes ago?
Yeah. And it's talking. So here I am calling it. He's talking. Armus is talking. So, and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you not calling him a him?
Yeah.
Or something.
Or whatever pronoun it wishes you call it.
Yeah. But they haven't gotten to that conversation yet, I guess.
Right.
They've been busy.
Right.
Busy.
Ask. If you're not sure, ask.
Oh, you're gonna kill Troy. By the way, what pronouns do you prefer?
Anyway, Armus says maybe your instruments are useless and flings them away, including knocking Geordi's visor to the ground. And we are all forced to watch as the blind man feels around on the ground trying to find his visor. I hated this. Yep.
Absolutely cruel. And then Data's trying to help him, and he's like, half a meter to the right, Geordi, out of the side of his mouth. And Armus like, don't help him. Of course, Armus has this power to where he can make stuff appear and disappear. So he moves the visor to a different spot. And then Armus is like, aren't you going to lead him to it? And Data's like, no, you'll just move it again, and I won't help you hurt him.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, Data.
Wow.
Yep.
More human than any of us.
Mm-hmm.
Better human than any of us.
Armus goes back to the shuttlecraft and talks to Troy some more. She was right when she said they wouldn't amuse him. But here we learn who Armus truly is and how he ended up here. Some beings learned a way to suck all the evil from within them, and that is who Armus is. Of course, being pure evil, they dumped his ass on this desolate planet.
in a landfill.
Yeah.
And then he became this toxic waste monster.
Oh, it does look there is a little bit of like a comic book
toxic waste monster.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that?
Man.
Toxic. Oh, Toxic Avengers. Oh, there was some show or some movie where, because that was a big thing in the 80s.
Yes.
About toxic waste. And then they made a couple of movies about it.
Man, what was that cartoon?
I think I know what you're talking about, too.
I think it was a cartoon.
Toxic waste monster.
Is it Toxic Crusader? Oh, Toxic Avenger.
Oh, it is Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Toxic Avenger.
Searching.
The first superhero from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, wait.
That's what it says on the cover of issue number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. Troy says, you have my pity. And Armus gets PISS and starts like shaking the shuttle. Like, I don't want your fucking pity.
He says, save that for yourself, bitch. But the bitch was silent.
Outside the shuttle, nobody noticed any of this happening, nor do they notice Armus moving toward them. And Armus, like, electro something, some kind of telekinesis, and pulls Riker into the goo. And this is not a stunt guy.
Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes held his hand up and said, sure, I'll get in that fucking goo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's dragging him along the ground. And Riker, first he's like, Data, help me. And then Armus says, you touch him and he dies. And so he doesn't, and he's dragged in.
Armus forbids any of them to leave, or he'll kill Riker and the crash survivors. And then we get this really creepy, freaky Riker's face kind of bubbles up into the goo and then sinks back below the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Really freaky.
Aren't you going to lead him to his site again, robot?
No. You will just move it again, and I will not help you hurt him.
Worf and Wesley have determined a pattern in Armus's energy field. Whenever he's dealing with Troy, the field is at its weakest. So Picard decides he's going to beam down and deal with this being. Again, the one man on the ship who would tell him no is otherwise occupied.
Yeah. And then also Troy's not there to give him like disappointing looks. So he's going to do it. Now everybody's down there.
Armus is back on the shuttle again, and Troy is really affected by what she's sensing in Riker being tortured like this. And Armus says if he'd just give in and stop fighting back, the pain would be gone. But that is some classic bully shit. Don't believe that for a second.
Yeah. You can't believe a liar.
When Armus asks if he should let Riker go, Troy's like, don't fuck with me like that. I know you're just trying to torment me. Doesn't matter what I say. Like, you're just trying to be a dick. And she's like, I will offer myself if you just let everybody go. Riker and everybody else. Because at first she says Riker, and then Armus is picking up a little bit of what she's been putting down. And she's like, oh, is this guy special to you or something? And she's like, no, I would do it for any of the crew. And suddenly Picard has entered the chat. So Armus moves over to him, and at first Picard kind of ignores him, but this quickly escalates to Armus taking control of Data, making him point a heater at Crusher and then Picard, and then Data himself. And he tries to make Crusher choose who's going to die. And this is all just another, like, trying to amuse himself.
Cruel. First, he kind of tries to mess with Data's head. You know, he's like, as he's making him point to different people, how would you feel if you were the instrument of death of, say, Picard? And Data had a great point. He says, I have no control over what you're doing with this phaser, so therefore I would not be the instrument of his death. And that is so logical.
Yeah.
And but humans would have been like, oh, please don't make me,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
And he keeps reminding him, you're doing this. I'm not doing it. Stop trying to fuck with my brain.
Brain. What is brain?
I'm an android.
He asks Data as he points the heater at Data's face, how does it feel to face your own extinction? And Data's like, curious. And the heater drops to the ground. And he tells Armus, you're capable of great sadism and cruelty, no redeeming qualities, and should be destroyed. And Armus is like, oh, a moral judgment coming from a machine? Okay. Finally, Picard's like, kill our people or not, we're done dealing with you. I won't let my people entertain you unless I see my people in the shuttle. And since you won't do that, our business here is concluded.
Man, he's about to walk away, and they are literally about to beam up, and then suddenly Armus shits out Riker.
So good.
That would make you laugh.
Oh, shit.
I'm just crying.
You are capable of great sadism and cruelty. Interesting. No redeeming qualities.
So, what do you think?
I think you should be destroyed.
A moral judgment from a machine.
Okay, Act 5, we can do this. Oh, God. So our friend just died. Pull it together.
Okay.
Crusher wipes the goo off of Riker's face, and his readings are normal. And Riker says something here. I think I missed this every other time I've ever watched it. He says, so much frustration, it had to get rid of me.
Huh.
So Riker was putting up so much of a fight that it frustrated Armus.
Mm-hmm.
And what everybody else was doing with Armus was frustrating him. So that's why it had to get rid of him, I guess. That's why he had to shit him out.
You know, when your stomach's upset, you have to get rid of it. Oh, no, sir. Okay. I think you should leave all of that laughter in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Picard is now demanding, okay, thanks. You gave me Riker. Let me see the rest of them. And of course, Armus says no, but Picard is pretty adamant, like, we're not here to be your plaything, or at least we're not going to try to entertain you until you give us what we want.
So Picard calls for Riker, Data, Geordi, and Crusher to be beamed up, and he's like, all right, it's just you and me now, mano a mano. Sure enough, this is Melvar. He just wants to leave the planet. Wasn't this a TOS episode too? Something about a being
no.
trapped on a planet and Kirk wouldn't help him leave.
This was the first episode of the animated series that I had
yes.
such a problem with.
That's
or is it, no,
right.
first or second, something like that.
Yeah,
where
it was
that
animated.
green cloud.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Picard says he's able to help Armus leave. He's like, I have the ability to make that happen for you. But first, I need to see my crew. And so Armus reluctantly transports Picard into the shuttle, where he finds Troy well enough, and what's-his-name is unconscious. And unfortunately, Picard has to break the news about Tasha, because Troy didn't know.
Yeah.
But no time to dwell on that sad news. We've got a beastie to outsmart. Picard thinks there's a way, and Troy fills in the gaps on why the energy field weakens. It's because when Armus is talking to Troy, she's making him face his feelings. Classic therapist shit. And he's full of rage, and when he confronts that rage, his guard goes down because he's feeling his feelings instead of suppressing them.
And then she also acknowledges that what's causing the rage is the fact that he was abandoned.
Then Picard is yoinked back out of the shuttle, but now he's got some backstory to argue and try to get Armus to confront his feelings so hard that he weakens to the point of being able to beam everyone away.
Misdirection, distract, yeah. Back on the bridge, Worf has figured out that the force field is going to have to drop below 2.7 before they can beam them up. So they're monitoring the force field closely.
So Picard has a seat on a rock and starts asking about Armus being abandoned. Armus doesn't want Picard's compassion. He finds it revolting. But Picard just keeps pushing these buttons. He's like, well, let me tell you about some poetry. A great poet once said, all spirits are enslaved that serve things evil. And Armus is like, oh, I don't serve things evil. I am evil. And here we go again. This is the second time in a month. Picard's like, nah, you're not evil. Remember, just on that last episode, they were like, we're going to kill you with the people with the zzz in their hands.
Yeah, and they're like, no, you're not. You're not evil.
Yeah.
One day he gonna fuck up and be wrong. But I just thought, I was curious as where that quote came from. It was Prometheus Unbound.
Okay.
Written by Percy Bysshe Shelley. You've heard of Prometheus Unbound? I heard it's like a 3-act.
I don't think so.
It's a play.
Oh.
But it's one of those classics
Mm-hmm.
that they make you like learn in school and shit. But probably taken out by now. It won't be part of the new curriculum.
No shit. Because women exist in them.
Probably.
Armus argues back the title of this episode, I am evil. I am a skin of evil. Left here by a race of titans who believed if they rid themselves of me, they would free the bonds of destructiveness.
Picard's like, well, so here you are, feeling sorry for yourself, feeding on your loneliness and consumed by your own pain. It's all about you, blah, blah, blah. Believe in your own lies. I guess this must have been like the emotional trigger, like Picard pushing his buttons.
Mm-hmm.
That was what did it for the energy level to reach that 2.6 whatever that Worf was looking for.
Yeah, Picard says, that's not true evil. True evil is submitting to you. When we surrender our freedom, our dignity, instead of defying you. And again, Armus threatens to kill everyone, and Picard's like, yeah, and then what? You'll still be here, wallowing in your loneliness forever. Picard makes one final push. That's your real fear, immortality. Never again to be united with those who left you here. And as the computer starts initiating the transport automatically, Picard says, I'm not taking you anywhere.
And again, bitch. And the bitch was silent. The bitch was silent.
And he's beamed away as Armus screams in extreme rage. Picard makes a brief log entry. They destroyed the shuttle to prevent any chance of Armus escaping, and they'll drop some beacons in orbit, warning everyone to stay away. Unfortunately, now it's time to say goodbye to Tasha. And this takes place in the holodeck on that hillside in the old Windows XP desktop background.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I also read, speaking of musicals, I read that on the day of shooting, as they were walking up this hill, Patrick Stewart himself sang, "The hills are alive with the sound of music."
Yeah. Well, because the mood was so somber,
Yeah.
because the cast they were having a really hard time
Yeah.
with this scene.
Yeah.
And so he was trying to add some levity.
Picard gives a great eulogy here, and then Holo Tasha appears. Allie, would you ever record a video for your friends and family to play after you die? Because that's what this is.
I don't know that I'd record. I don't know. I might. Depends. It depends. Like, not. You know how you're supposed to do a will. You know, it's one of those things. Like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, when I have time. But sometimes you don't know when you're gonna die. So
Right.
And then I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Yeah,
Would you?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I think that would be really weird.
It would be really weird. You can't cover everyone, and if someone didn't get mentioned, they'll get hurt, and then you'll just you'd be causing drama after you dead. You don't need to do
And
that.
what, I mean, okay, this is one of those, like, if I die accidentally, I guess is the point of this one. Because I'm thinking, like, well, what would you put in it that you wouldn't or shouldn't have already said to that person? Like, what
Yeah.
would you even put in there if you believe that,
You're making the most out of your life. You should be telling the people already
Yeah.
as you're living.
Yeah.
There should never be any doubt like about how you feel about people when you're alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe this is just part of Starfleet is
Yeah, maybe.
you got to record, you got to write a letter to your family. You got to write, you got to record something in case of, being killed in the line of duty or something.
There's a lot of great notes in this final song. Tasha talks about how Deanna helped her see that she could be feminine and not lose anything, which is a character bit that I would love to have been more developed on the show. Like, I guess that may have been some place that they were going to take her character. She was going to struggle with, being the strong security person, has kind of a butch mask vibe to it.
Right.
Stereotypically. And, so now you have a woman who's in that position, and how do you be feminine and strong at the same time, which is the dumbest idea. But like in the 90s, that would have been great to explore.
Because we were all about, not making the man feel powerful and making sure he felt okay instead of just us being ourselves. But yeah.
She bonded with Worf over their both being orphans and warriors. Geordi was always there to hold her hand and help her see other perspectives, which I thought was a fun little sight bit. And Data. Oh, Data. I also read here that these were all real tears.
Yeah.
Because the actors weren't just, like, this wasn't just saying goodbye to the character. This was saying goodbye to a castmate who they'd been working and building relationships with.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think this might be the most raw and like genuinely emotional moment in Star Trek. When she says, "Hailing frequencies closed, sir," here I am 37 years almost to the day later, sobbing in my laptop. Yes.
Yeah. I was crying too. I was like, no. But it was great. It was a great goodbye speech to all her friends.
Yeah.
And then they just really push in on Picard's face. And even though he wasn't like sobbing, he's great at portraying that like emotion without it.
Everyone leaves except Picard and Data to have a quick chair chat about humanity. Data doesn't understand the purpose of memorial services. He says he's confused because his thoughts are not with Tasha, but for myself, my loss, for how empty it's going to feel without her around. And he asks Picard, "Did I miss the point?" And Picard says, "Oh no, Data, you got it."
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'll be glad to be relieved of this cargo.
Me too.
It is done, and perhaps just as well.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
I sincerely hope that this is the last time that I find myself here.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? You see, of all the species, yours cannot abide stagnation. Change is at the heart of what you are. That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
And here we go again, another lonely, abandoned Melvar alien, desperate to leave its isolation, and we just fuck off and leave him there.
Yeah. I wonder, maybe Picard did the right thing. You know, I thought he was going to help him because he did sit down and he was showing lots of empathy and saying, no, you're not evil. You're, a victim of, circumstance. You're feeling abandoned. And I was like, that's cool. Thanks, Picard.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if he had taken him, like, one therapy session isn't going to fix you.
Right.
Right. So if he were to take him someplace else, what kind of shit is he unleashing on the rest of the solar system or the planet or the galaxy or the universe? So, yeah.
This episode is trying to say something interesting about how the negative parts of our being are a necessary part of being human. Like, you can't just cast them aside and be perfect and not ever have to confront that again.
Yeah.
Picard says, true evil is submitting to you when we surrender our freedom, our dignity, instead of defying you. That humans have negative qualities is not the evil. It's when we give in to them.
Yeah.
That it's natural. It is part of the human experience to have these negative parts of us. It is what it is. And the goal is to learn how not to give in to those more baser emotions, I guess.
Yeah.
There's also a great point about death here, too. The way that Tasha describes death as not an end. We live on in the memory of others. That's the true immortality that for us mortals, not heavens and hells, not coming back as a butterfly or whatever. And yes, time will eventually forget us all.
Yeah.
But just living on in the memories of those whose lives you impacted along the way, that's something really special. That's the immortality I want.
Yeah. And not making up shit about living forever on a cloud to make yourself feel better. Live now. Don't worry about, like, we think a lot about dying too much, and that keeps us from living.
All right. Well, did anybody die in this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I wrote a song about it.
Yep.
Wrote a rap about it.
Yeah.
Want to hear it?
Of course.
Here it goes.
We're here together to honor our friend and comrade. We will all find time to grieve for her in the days that are ahead. But for now, she has asked that we celebrate her life with this.
Natasha Yar, fearless and bold, and on the D, she was in control. Came from the streets and rose through the ranks, ready for trouble, full phase of banks. But hate had a twist, dark and real, an evil creature named Armis, and he had no chill. A puddle of pain, born from the worst, dripping with rage, yeah, it was straight up cursed. Tasha stepped up, trying to fight the cause, trying to say I like the way she always does. But one strike hit, no warning, no sound. Tasha went down, she hit the ground. In the line of duty, brave to the last, a hero remembered, not just the past. But she left a mark, strong and true, in the hearts of her fam, the Enterprise crew. And on the holodeck, there was not a dry eye. As Klingons would say, it was a good day to die. Hailing frequencies closed.
Oh. Rest in peace, Tasha.
Rest in peace, Tasha. There is definitely an empty space where she was.
Indeed.
We can handle all the pleasantries later. Now, let's get down to business.
I am willing to pay handsomely for you.
I think you've had a little too much to drink.
Now, what do you know about my money?
Your money.
The money he stole!
You stole his money?
Those vouchers I gave you were every bit as good as Latinum.
You can spend Latinum almost anywhere. Those vouchers are only good at your bar.
All right. As always, we want to thank all of you who support the show, especially our patrons, and extra especially our founding admirals over at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Special thanks to Russell, Allie, Peter, Sarah, Sherry, and Bruce. And this week, we have a new founding admiral joining the crew.
Woohoo!
Big welcome and thank you to Bear and Kura Podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. I gave them a listen. They are two married gay guys that talk about things that are going on in their lives in the world. Yes, check them out.
Yeah, they said they love sarcasm, so that's like right
welcome
up our
home.
alley.
Captain, Starfleet Academy is requesting an update on our estimated arrival.
Finalists, please take your seats.
I must admit you have a very fast mind.
Once I realized it was a trick question, there was only one answer.
Although only one student will be chosen for the Academy, any of you could easily qualify. Candidates, good luck.
You got called to the superintendent's office. It's a story I'd like to hear.
All right, Becca's back now with the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge for Skin of Evil. Remind us the question.
What concoction was used to create Armis the oil slick?
And we got this one wrong. I don't even remember what we said.
I think I said like cornstarch or something.
Yeah.
It was wrong anyway.
Yeah, we were very, very wrong.
Yes, you were wrong.
The Admiral is definitely incorrect.
It was Metamucil in Printer's ink. When Riker was sucked into Armis, Jonathan Frakes was in fact submerged in a pool of Metamucil and Printer's ink.
Ugh.
During a break in filming while Frakes was lying on the beach covered in sludge, LeVar Burton approached him and said, "Frakes, I never would have done that."
Who thinks of Metamucil?
Right?
Like, oh, you can use this for no, gross.
Like, what could you possibly be doing that would make you discover that mix of ingredients?
Yeah. What have you done in your life to make you go, I know what to mix together?
I know.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, next time we'll be reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 24. We'll Always Have Paris. Captain Picard is unexpectedly reunited with his first love in the midst of an investigation into lethal time warp experiments. What do you remember about this episode before we actually watched it?
To be honest, not a whole lot. I just knew it was something to do with, Picard and an old flame because it was Paris.
I couldn't remember that there was an episode with Picard and an old flame. All right. Well, what is our question for We'll Always Have Paris? And hopefully we didn't already talk about it during the episode.
Nice.
What is our question?
What souvenir did Patrick Stewart keep from this episode?
Oh my God, we
know this one. We know this one.
God damn it.
I mean, it's kind of gross to me, but weird and
it's a pair of panties. Yep.
Yeah.
Worn by the actress of this episode. Well, you can cheat like us and share this episode on your social media. You're all winners this week.
Everybody's
You're a winner. You're a winner. Everybody's a winner. Use the hashtag Starfleet Challenge, and we picked all of you as our winners in advance. And next time we'll be reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 24, We'll Always Have Paris.
Glory to your house.
Make it so, number one.
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.